relax, and enjoy this study with me. I just finished 2 sections, so 6 chapters of the 18 so far. So we are gonna do, I brought on my average for the last set of chapters, 4 to 6, which is Know Your Client. So here we go. Next section, chapters 7 to 9. Sunday when I did it, I got 53% average. So chapters 4 to 6, I got Morning Bobby Curley. This morning I got on chapter 4 to 6, I got 57%. The last time I did it, I got only 47. So I brought up my average overall. So we're gonna go on to the next section. Understanding investment products and portfolios. Let's dive in. $30 questions. Doing good, doing good. Bond Trillium, coupon. So this is 7 to 9. Okay. So yeah, coupon. If the coupon is higher than the yield, bond is trading at a premium. Yeah. Which statement regarding treasury bills is correct? They pay interest semi-annually to treasury bill holders. It can only be pursued. They are issued with a 3-year. They are issued through competitive bidding process. They pay interest semi-annually to treasury bill holders at a discount from par. They are issued with, and again, average was good. They are issued through a competitive bidding process at a discount from par. They pay semi-interest, yeah. Pay interest semi-annually to treasury bill holders. In the municipal securities market, it is common for issuers to employ what types of bonds? Municipal security market. Zero coupon bonds, convertible bonds, serial bonds. In municipal security markets. Callable bonds, serial bonds. What types of bonds are backed by an issuer's specific assets? Secured bonds. Carry with his. Please pin this comment. You haven't already, please subscribe and turn off the post notification bell. Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it. Carry with his retirement account invested $20,000 in each of the following guaranteed investment certificates. Yeah, 1 year, 2%, 2 year at 2.1, 3 year at 2.5, 4 year, and 5 year. From then on, whenever a GIC matures, he'll invest in a new GIC. Laddered GICs. Which statement correctly identifies the relationship between bonds and interest rates? Bond yields and bond prices fluctuate daily. Bond prices and coupon rates fluctuate daily. Bond yields and coupon rates fluctuate daily. If the yield is lower than the coupon rate, the bond is trading at a discount. Bond prices and coupon rates fluctuate daily. Bond yields and coupon rates fluctuate daily. Yeah, with interest rates. Bond yields and bond prices fluctuate daily. Bond prices and bond yields and coupon rates. Bond yields and bond prices fluctuate daily. Yeah. Bond yields and bond prices fluctuate daily. What is the approximate current yield of a 10-year bond with an annual coupon rate of 4.10 and a bond price of 95.75? Current yield. Let's see. Approximate current yield. 4.10 with an annual. Yeah, so. Yeah, isn't it just? Ten-year bond or 4.0 divided by 365 times 100. Or divided by 575. Yeah. So times 100. Yeah. So that annual coupon rate divided by that is 4.28 for the approximate current yield. There we go. Hey, what's going on? Ferez Alferez. Welcome back to the live. Which graph plots interest rates against time to maturity, yield curve? Which order amount for a security that is less than the standard trading unit? Odd lot. Order amount for a security that's less than the standard trading unit, odd lot. What type of preferred stock requires its holders to receive any dividends and arrears plus current year dividends to be paid before any common shares? Perpetual preferred shares. Cumulative preferred shares. Holders receive any dividends and arrears plus perpetual preferred shares. Cumulative preferred shares. Investment A and B have the same expected return, but investment B has an expected risk higher than A. Okay? Investment X and Y have the same expected risk, but investment X has lower return. So A and Y. Investment B has expected risk higher than A. Which two investments would the rational investor's preference be? Highest, so lowest risk. Yeah. And highest return. A and Y. But investment X has a lower expected return than Y. Which two investments would a rational investor's preference be? Yeah. Client invests $10,000 at the beginning of the first year. Here is a return of -4 and a return of +4. What is the value of his investment at the end of the second year? End of the second year, so times and so -400 there is 9,600, and then +4, so 9,600 times 104. So, and then 9,600 plus 9,600, 99.84. Boom, got it. The end of the second year, 99.84. There. What determines purchasing power? Which determines purchasing power? Real return, nominal return, expected return, annual return. Real return. What determines purchasing power? Real return. Because that's after inflation. An investor purchases noise. An investor purchases a non-dividend paying stock at the beginning of year one. Non-dividend paying stock at the beginning of year one of $50. By the end of year one, it's worth 45, and by the end of year two, it's worth 55. What is your annual arithmetic mean? As a percentage. Fifty, 45, 55. Is that so 45 divided by 50. And then 45 divided by 55. Annual arithmetic mean return over the 2-year period. So, and then, yeah, what is that? 45 to 55. I'm just going to guess on this one. Which statement is true with respect to the annual geometric mean return? Geometric return of 0 means that there's been no change in the investment value. It is also known as the return on risk-adjusted capital. It takes compounding into consideration. It is found by adding annual returns. and divided by the number of years. Annual returns and divided by the number of years, yeah. Which risk measure is equal to the square root of the variance? Standard deviation. Which is to purchase a stock with a low market risk? Which measure would indicate such a stock? Which is to purchase with low market risk, low variance. The client's bond portfolio has a duration of 10. He expects interest rates to rise, so he shortens the duration of his portfolio to 5. However, interest rates unexpectedly drop. Which statement is true? A change in duration had no impact on his realized return because it is a measure of risk. A duration of 5 would have lessened his realized capital loss. Which lists investments in order of declining risk? Yeah. Yeah, derivatives, bonds, debentures, preferred shares, derivatives, common shares, derivatives, bonds, debentures, common shares, debentures, treasury bills, yeah. Derivatives, bonds, debentures. Oh, common shares, debentures, yeah. An investor who believes that the capital markets are completely efficient would have a preference of what type of mutual fund? Index fund. Choose the primary influence on the value of the company's shares. Choose the primary influence on the value of a company's shares. Company's expected future earnings. Yeah, past earnings. Yeah. What are liquidity ratios used for? To see how well the company can deal with its debt obligations. To judge short-term commitments. Yeah, to show how well the company can deal with its debt obligations. Indicate how a company would classify a term loan taken against its headquarters on its statement of financial position. Current liability. Long-term liability. So term loan taken against its headquarters. So that'd be a long-term liability or current liability. A term loan? Yeah, it's a long-term liability. Select the asset that is subject to amortization. Land. Define total shareholders' equity. Common shares plus retained earnings. Retained earnings less liabilities. Common shares less liabilities. Assets plus retained earnings equals shareholders' equity plus retained earnings. Assets plus retained earnings equals shareholders' equity. Define gross profit. Revenue less cost of sales. Yeah. Cost of sales less total expenses less cost of sales. Revenue less total expenses. Revenue less cost of sales is gross profit. Select the formula used to calculate closing retained earnings for a fiscal period. At the beginning of the period, less dividends, less profits for the period equals closing. Beginning of the period, less dividends. Less dividends plus profits for the period. Yeah. So close to the end of this one. Identify the section of the Canadian Auditor's Report that outlines the financial statement responsibilities. It outlines the financial statement responsibilities for management. Fourth, identify the type of ratio that the debt to equity ratios are categorized. Risk analysis, value, liquidity. Select the necessary criteria for meaningful external comparisons. Similar operation and the basis used to calculate each ratio compared should be the same. Should be a similar operation, but the basis used to calculate each ratio compared does not need to be the same. Should be some position basis used to calculate each ratio. Yes, that's a good average. Mindset fam. Good average. It's brought up my average on both those sections. Excellent. Okay. Still review my gaps, but happy with that. Then we've got 3 more sets of chapters, so 8 chapters more. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. Evaluating mutual funds. We'll see if I can get it all done. I'm really close. Oh, yeah, I'm very close. Hang on. This one's the longest. 40 questions. Okay. And what did I get on this one? Yeah, really well on these next sections, yeah. Identify who is responsible for the taxes on dividend income unit holders. Distributed to mutual fund holders. Select the entity that is ultimately responsible for the activities of a mutual fund trust. The entity that is ultimately responsible for the activities of the mutual fund trust. Fund manager. Identify the organization responsible for maintaining records of the owners of the mutual fund units. Dealer, registrar. Identify the organization responsible for maintaining records of the owners. Be the registrar, the dealer. Yeah. Identify the organization responsible for regulating mutual funds in Canada. Securities Commission. Identify how an open-end trust may avoid taxation on dividend income. Pass dividends to unit holders. Identify who has the ultimate responsibility for the calculation. Fund manager. Identify the document in which the principal investment objectives and policies of the mutual fund or trust are laid out. Statement of investment policy. Has asked for a recommendation for an investment strategy. Small amounts of dividends from mutual fund trust, and she does not need his current income. Reinvestment of dividends into new shares. Yeah. Mutual fund corporation has an income of $150,000 before fees and expenses, $110,000 after fees and expenses. Calculate the amount that the corporation should declare as dividends to mimic the flow through status that a mutual fund trust would enjoy. $110,000. An investor can cancel a mutual fund purchase with which of the following periods within 48 hours of receiving confirmation of the purchase. The value of money market securities should still fluctuate with changing interest rates, but the fluctuation should be relatively small. Select the reason behind the rationale. Our investments, money markets, funds are short-term investments. What would be an acceptable average term to maturity for a money market fund? 91 days. How often do money market funds distribute earned income? Monthly. Describe how the effective yield calculation treats the 7-day return. Deem the fund units that are equal to the weekly return as needed. Assumes that the returns will be distributed weekly by the fund. Yeah, it assumes that the returns earned weekly are reinvested in the fund. And again, we're on chapter 10 to 13, and we've got chapter 14 to 16 quiz and chapter 17 to 18 quiz too, and then we'll see what my overall average is on this mock exam number 2. Select the correct statement about the risk associated with conservative mutual funds. Bond funds are considered to carry higher risk than mortgage funds. Mortgage mutual funds are considered to carry higher risk than bond funds. Lower risk than money market. Mortgage mutual funds are considered to carry lower risk than money market. So yeah, bond funds are considered to carry higher risk than mortgage funds. Yeah, mortgage mutual funds are considered to carry lower risk. Yeah. Yeah. What type of risk is primarily associated with mortgage funds? Default risk. When a residential mortgage is considered conventional mortgages? When they do not exceed 80% of the appraised value of the property. Which of the following is unlikely to be found in a money market fund? Which of the following is unlikely to be found in a money market fund? Government bonds maturing in 10 years. Nice, we're halfway through this one. All good that you're late, Ferez, yeah. Consider a money market fund with 5 million of net assets that after 7 days had assets of 5,032,50. What is the fund's current yield? So yeah, and then divided by no. Consider money market fund with 5 million in assets after 7 days in assets. So I think you have to, current yield is divided by 365. So current 5 million in assets had assets of 5,300,000. Divided by 5 million. And that divided by 365. No. Should this be divided by 365? No. It should be times 365, okay. 3, 5, 6 divided by 5 million, 30, yeah, 5 million, yeah. So 5 under 3, 6 divided by 5. Divided by 365. I'm not sure about this one. Or divided by 7? 3.9. I'm just gonna guess. Not sure about that one. If a bond fund manager feels that interest rates will rise, what action will she likely take? Revise the portfolio and reduce portfolio duration, sell all bonds, revise portfolio and increase. If if interest rates will rise. Sell their units for, yeah, revise portfolio and reduce the portfolio duration. What is the primary investment objective of an equity growth fund? Capital gains. What type of mutual fund is best approximated by an ETF? Equity index fund. With regard to derivatives, what is the main difference between a hedger and a speculator? Hedger uses derivatives as a bet on future investments, and a speculator uses derivatives as insurance. A speculator takes a bet on future movements in the market, and a hedger uses derivatives as insurance. Yeah. To run question. Hey, Nana, what's going on? We brought up our average on our last two chapters. I did better than my last attempt on Sunday, which is awesome. And then I write the exam tomorrow morning. So we're on chapters 10 to 13, and then I got a couple other sections to do after that, and I got to do all that in less than 30 minutes, so just powering through. Question 24 of 40 on chapter 10 to 13. So that's 10, 11, 12, 13. So there, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. So I'll be able to power through the rest. What class of fund has the objective of earning both current income and capital gains while at the same time preserving capital? Balanced fund. What balanced fund is consistent with a defensive position in relation to equity markets? So, yeah, so it would be 20% in aggressive equity growth holdings and 80% fixed income. Yeah. So that means the majority of a balanced fund is in bonds. Yeah, if it's taking a defensive position towards the equity market, and then 20% in equity. When is a balanced fund most likely to hold large amounts of stock? Large amounts of stock when the equity market is set for an increase. All right, we're on question 27 of 40. What is the assumption that the target dates are structured on? Risk tolerance declines as investors grow older. And a target date fund is basically like an investment through work. Yeah. Let me focus on the test, and then afterwards, if I got time, I'll be able to answer it for you. Where is a target date fund most likely to be reclassified upon its maturity date? Where is it going to be reclassified? Fixed income and balance funds. Most likely to be reclassified upon. So yeah, the closer that we get to the target date, right? Which is like, for a client, it could be whatever, 30 years. They call that T30, term to maturity of 30 years or 20 years. That means that as it gets closer to the term to maturity for the target date fund, that risk will be less, and then the aggressive risk tolerance that you started with when you were younger will become less risk. So fixed income and balance funds. What is true of foreign source dividends? They are taxed at the same rate as Canadian interest income, the highest rate. Client owns a pool of mutual funds. What type of fund is the client invested in? Funds of funds. The performance of principal protected note may not exactly track the performance of the underlying asset. Identify this type of risk. Principal protected note currency may not exactly track the performance of the asset. Currency. A hedge fund manager purchases shares of ABC Energy because she expects their shares will rise after it takes over control of XYZ Energy. Determine the strategy the manager used. Event driven. Select the relationship between the trading price of a closed-end trade with respect to their net asset value. They may trade above or below their net asset value. Identify the type of sales fee that is charged on exchange traded fund, broker's commission. Select the usual minimum holding period required for an investor in a segregated fund, 10 years. Select the segregated fund term that refers to the person who purchased the contract. Contract holder. So identify the minimum maturity guarantee on a segregated fund under provincial legislation, 75%. Invested $200,000 in a segregated fund that includes 100% maturity guarantee. The market value of the fund at maturity is $215. Value of the maturity guarantee, 0. Calculate the minimum annual withdrawal amount for 7% guaranteed minimum withdrawal benefit, GMWB, for $200,000 with a market value of $150. 10.5, nope. $14,000, boom. Select a factor that results in management expenses for portfolio funds being higher than for individual segregated funds. The investor pays for the asset allocation service. Yeah, 90% on that section. Hell to the yeah. Okay. All my averages have been brought up. Mine's have found. Heck yeah. We got 2 more sections to go. We're almost done. Boom. And then again, any gaps, I just hammer those gaps. I work on those gaps after. I'll do a little bit more tonight, and then we'll be good. Okay. And how did I do in this section? Yeah, I'll average 77% in the last section, 65% in this section. Okay, here we go. What is the Sharpe ratio? Based on the following information: 3-month Treasury bill, standard deviation. So it's always 1 year return minus the Treasury bill rate time divided by standard deviation. So that 0.4 minus 2.4 divided by 4.2. No. Yeah. 5.4. So the current return minus 3-month return divided by 4.271. Boom. Identify the correct term for the peer group with similar investment mandates that would be used for a mutual fund's relative performance. Comparison universe. Which index would investors use as a benchmark for the performance of their non-American equity investments? MSCI EAFE index. Is that a crotchet sunflower? That's so cute. Whoa, oh, crochet sunflower? Where? Where do you see that? Oh, there. Yeah, it is. Yeah. Up there. Yeah. We are on to chapters 14 to 16, and then we just got to do chapter 17 to 18. So this one's a 3-chapter, the other one's a 2-chapter. Context of measuring mutual fund performance and making apples to apples, which refers to the segment of mutual funds with similar investment mandates that would be used. Peer group. Which statistical term categorizes a range of data into 4 defined intervals? Standard lot, odd lot, peer group, quartile. Quartile. Survivorship bias has what direct impact on average and moderately good fund managers that survive? An overestimation of past returns, deteriorating performance. No impact on the funds that remain, just those that terminate. Sold his DEF at an asset value of $8.54. His original purchase price was $10.67. He did not reinvest any distributions while he owned the funds. Okay, so now we're gonna do, it goes to get the percentage gain or loss. Yeah, crochet. Yeah, we didn't make it, we just bought it, but my wife loves crochet. Okay, so ending net asset value minus current net asset value divided by ending net asset value. So here we go. Seven minus 8.54 divided by 8.54 is, yeah, it's purchase price. Okay, so it actually should be, so 8.54, so ending net asset value minus 10.67, right? 8.54, yeah. Yeah, then divided by, there we go. Ending net asset value, 24, yeah. Negative 24%. Which index would Canadian investors typically use as a benchmark if they want to assess large cap? Oh, large cap US equities, S&P 500, yeah. The rate of return, yeah, standard deviation of the portfolio is this, while the risk adjusted rate free using the Sharpe ratio showed a percent. What conclusion can be drawn? The return must be equal to risk-free rate. Risk-free rate must be equal to the standard deviation. Stock is a desirable investment because the Sharpe ratio is close to zero signals. Risk-free rate is 2.2%. Fixed income manager who invests solely in government Canada bonds can mitigate what type of risk? Default risk. Fund manager has moved a significant portion of his portfolio out of bonds to cash. And it's going to raise over investment strategy helps alleviate what type of risk? Interest rate risk, exchange rate risk. Yeah, interest rate risk. Interest rate risk. Which results in a mutual fund experiencing a negative Sharpe ratio? Underperformance benchmark, underperformance peer group, underperformance benchmark. What measure most directly captures the additional value a fund manager brings to a portfolio? Beta or alpha? Yeah, beta. What investment philosophy entails buying stocks in mature companies that are currently out of favor and trade at a discount? Value investing. A portfolio manager who has shifted investment assets from technology stocks to consumer staples in anticipation of a market downturn is doing sector rotation. What type of investment strategy uses technical analysis and aims to capitalize on existing market trends? That would be growth investing. What fixed income investment approach involves moving long-term bonds and short-term in advance of a foreseen monetary policy? Interest rate anticipation. long-term bonds and short-term treasury bills in advance. Yeah. Which report captures the changes in money managers' investment patterns over a measurement period? Which report captures the changes in the money manager's investment patterns over style analysis? Yes. Which one of the following statements best describes a reward to risk ratio? The fund's return divided by the fund's standard deviation. The fund's return minus the risk-free rate divided by the standard deviation. Funds return divided by the fund's return minus the risk-free rate divided by the fund's beta. The fund's return divided by the fund's standard deviation. Yeah. Carla pays a fee per unit when she purchases a mutual fund. This is front-end load. Identify the charges paid by a mutual fund to a mutual fund service provider. Management fees. Identify the arrangement between an insurance company and an individual in which an investor gives a specific amount of money to an insurance company for regular payments. Annuity. So identify the calculation used to determine the management expense ratio. Annual total of all fees and expenses divided by average net assets. Identify the fee that may be charged to investors who hold mutual funds in an RRSP or RESP, trustee fee. Calculate the purchasing price per unit for an investor purchasing a fund with $14 and an acquisition of 2.5%. Okay. Yeah, so 2.5% would make that $14.35 per unit. Yeah. Rebecca gives $6 per share of capital gains from her mutual fund, assuming she is in a 30% marginal tax bracket calculating income tax payable. $1.80. I remember this. Okay, we're almost done this one, and then we've got one more, so we should have enough time to do the last one here. Before 20-cent distribution, $12. Calculate the number of units an investor would hold after the distribution. Okay. So So 12, yeah. Calculate the number of units an investor would hold after the distribution. It's now they're 400, so I'm guessing this one. Doug's daughter is planning on spending 3 years in Europe. He asked for an advice on a systematic withdrawal plan that allows his daughter to have periodic payments from an investment fund with the goal of exhausting the entire fund by the end of the 3 years. Fixed period withdrawal plan. Yep. A client has accumulated 100,000 in mortgage fund. The client has indicated she requires a fixed amount of 1,500 to be, so that's a fixed dollar withdrawal plan. In comparison to a universe of 200 funds, a particular manager is ranked in the first quartile over the evaluation period. Fund was ranked at the bottom against all the other funds. Nice. Yep. Okay. 70% on that one. Very good. Okay. And then let's see if we got time to do the last one. We're almost done. So this one's 30 questions. I'm going to lose it. Okay, 20 questions. Thank goodness. Identify the amount, 1 million. Identify the obligation the dealer has with regards to accepting an unsuitable order. No obligation to accept the order exists. Yeah. Order may process. Unsolicited orders must not be accepted. No obligation to accept the order exists. How did I do on this one? 65%? Okay. No obligation, so unsolicited orders must not be accepted. When investing a spousal RSP, identify the individual that know your client information is required for. Non-contributing spouse. Identify the minimum frequency with which a dealer must request in writing for updates on material information annually. Yeah. Indicate the type of account that requires a date of birth to be on file. Registered. Minor purchases a mutual fund. Choose the action that the minor may take to reaching the age majority. Revoke the purchase. To joint account is open, choose the criteria that may differ among the investment knowledge. Who must authorize a limited trading authorization? 0. Select the term used to accept cash gained illegally, making it appear legitimate. Money laundering. Has delegated certain duties to TED or unregistered assistant, providing information and taking written, handing out order forms. Yeah. I remember this now. I remember this from my review. Yeah, I appreciate it. Miamin? Yeah, hit subscribe if you're new. Julia receives a fax from a client stating a change in address and marital status. To obtain know your client information, client's new spouse. Updating the know your client information without discussing it with the client. Yeah. Updating the know your client information without discussing it with the client. Yeah. This one. And joint account. They would prefer maximum flexibility. Yeah. Which of the following sales practices permitted? Selling mutual funds that are not registered for sale? No. Providing investment guidance with respect? No. Selling mutual funds to individuals who are not registered in the province? Indicating to clients that a particular mutual fund is registered for sale in a given province? Yes. Sometimes there are no rules that directly cover a situation. What should the mutual fund sales representatives rely on? Ethics. Identify the duty of care component that requires all recommendations to be based from careful analysis, due diligence. Identify the action that breaches the expectation of professionalism. So it's approximately 2 hours to his personal account. Yeah. Identify the component of integrity that requires that representatives ensure clients' assets are used solely for clients' purposes. Respect for client assets. Yep. Know your client falls under which primary value? Duty of care. What is one of the major principles of professionalism? all trades must be made by registered individuals. Yeah. And ask him to sell all his holdings. Explain that he has information that they won't know switching managers. His other clients, yeah, confidentiality. Nice, 95%. All right, we're where we need to be, Mindset fam. There we go. Here we go. I gotta leave for work soon. Look at that. Boom. I got up early, 6:45. So this was my average the other day. I averaged it all up. It averaged out to 68%, and I wrote this on Sunday. So this is, so I did the first 3 chapters, 80%. Next few were 47% and 53, and then 88, 77, 65. This one, so that average was 68. This one, I got 80, 57, 67. So did I bump that up a little bit for 7 to 9? Yeah, I did. Oh, that made a big difference. 90, 70, 95. So massive difference. Massive difference. So my average, let's see my average now. Hang on. I'll quickly do that and then I gotta go. Okay. We are right where we need to be. And then again, we'll hammer home the sections that, okay. How many sessions are there now? This will be my last one. This is my mock exam number 2 that I did. And I'm just looking at my average. My average went up, which is really nice. So, nice. So my average on Sunday was 64%. My total average for all those quizzes together is 76%. So that's freaking awesome. Stoked. Pays to get up early, Mindset fam. When you got to do it, I know it's temporary, but once this exam is done, I'll be able to have some little reprieve and focus more on, again, my training and meditate, get back to morning meditations again. Very nice. Okay. Beautiful. Very nice. All right, Mindset fam, that's it. And Nana, if you're still here, what was your question? You had a quick question. I got to leave in a couple minutes. If you have a little time, it's okay. You want to phone her? So yeah, that bumped up my average to 76%. Boom. So, hang on, I just want to make sure that that's right. So hold on. 0.8 plus, oop, 0.57 plus 0.67 plus 0.9 plus. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, 76% average. Hell yeah. All right, we're leaving it there. We're leaving it there, Mindset fam. Boom. Oh, did I even finish this? Oh, no, I did not. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh. Putting this away. Putting this all away. Hang on. Boom. All right, I gotta go, Mindset fam. Appreciate being here. Hit subscribe if you're new here. Turn on that notification bell. Hit that like button. And I'll see you guys all for lunchtime with me. Probably, yeah, I'll be taking lunch at 1 today, so I'll be home by probably 1:10 or so.